Hit her with some caution. Tell that boy you fresh. She like water like soul. Let me check my taste. Yes, I like women, I like sex. Yes, I'm a ass up for Sunday.
Was good talking gang. It's your boy Zoe, and I'm back in this hole once again. And today we got a very special video, man. We got something very new here, man. Very new. Now, as y'all know, I'm a comic book nerd. I love comic books. I'm very heavy into superheroes, as y'all can see in the back. Anime too, but superheroes also. DC or Marvel. There's a Justice League right there. Superman, Batman over here. Batman over here. I just got this Funko the other day. The Batman who laughs. I'm like, yeah, it's so clean. It's so clean. It's so hard. You can't tell me it's so that clean. It's so clean. It's so clean. Yeah. I got Batman right here too. Got another Batman. Little bats. And a Flash right next to me too. A little Flash, a running Flash. But yeah. As y'all know, I love superheroes. And I'm DC over Marvel. Team DC over here. Team DCU. So, in DC Comics, they have started a new run. The Absolute Universe. Which I've been hearing about. It's like a version of Darkseid. Like the world is like based off Darkseid's energy, like evil energy. So like it's different. It's definitely different. I've been seeing the designs for Superman. Batman's big as hell. He's beefy as shit. Killer Croc, huge. I've been seeing all of the Batman villains. They look amazing. Firstly, I've been seeing them on TikTok. Wonder Woman looks good. Flash looks good. Martian Manhunter. Oh my gosh, he's so sick. I've been seeing the Martian Manhunter. It's so sick. Oh my gosh. And Green Lantern. The I think it's a girl, right? I think it's a girl. But yeah, we got this video we're gonna check out, so I can get caught up on what is actually happening, because I don't really know, and I haven't started reading any of the comics yet that have coming out. So we're here to watch it and check it out. So yeah, if you're new here, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the post notification bell, and join the game. Talking TV, you see it. Join the game. Now let's get into it, man. Where my glasses at? Where are my glasses? How Darkseid made the Absolute Universe. Alright, we are finna get a lore dump, so bear with me. I will be eating some snacks in the background. I would do the same if I were you. Alright, let's get into it, man. Look at Superman, man.
So with the DC Universe, Absolute Universe crossover coming up, I've seen a lot of questions from people who have been asking about the Absolute Universe. Where did it come from? How does the whole thing work? And while we have explained that over the course of several videos, and in fact, you'll find a playlist on the main channel that literally says, new to the Absolute Universe, start here. What this video will do is condense all that information down into one digestible bite. So at the very least, you have a more solid understanding of how this all came to be.
And that's why I'm here.
And where to start when it comes to the Absolute Universe. So, the formation of the Absolute Universe actually has its roots in a story called Absolute Power. And while it may seem kind of strange here, Absolute Power is not the reason or the catalyst for the creation of the Absolute Universe. However, you guys will see how the two tie together here in a second. Because while the Absolute Power story largely just focused on Amanda Waller doing Amanda Waller things, right? Trying to destroy the superhero community. Over the course of that story, the Flash Barry Allen had learned that Amanda Waller was building a multiversal army. And so he realized the only way to essentially stem the flow of this army and prevent its invasion was to destroy the multiversal gateway that was being used to bring those individuals in. Now, the destruction of that gateway had the side effect of cutting the main DC universe off from the rest of the multiverse. The only exception to that was one particular world. Now what this did is this segued directly into a one-shot comic that was the DC All-In Special, which deals with this one singular world that the main DC universe seems to have access to. And in fact, the DC All-In Special essentially tells the same set of events from two different perspectives. The first perspective is from the superheroes. The second perspective is from Darkseid. Now the superhero segment is pretty important here, so it is worth covering. The long and short of this is that the main roster of the DC universe, right? So Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Mr. Terrific, they'd all kind of come to this realization that while the superheroes do have a positive impact on the world, they could have a more measurable impact if they truly became what the Justice League is supposed to be. And so they formed Justice League Unlimited, which Booster Gold was brought on board as a member of. But almost immediately after the JLU forms,
I love Booster Gold, by the way. That one episode on Justice League Unlimited, it's like the day nobody remembers or something like that. And he had basically saved everybody and nobody knew about it. That's one of the best episodes in that show. That episode is fire, and that made me love Booster Gold just from that one episode. And I'm excited for him to get a show. He's getting a show. I wonder who they're going to cast for his actor, but I'm excited for that.
you basically have an invasion from Darkseid who's channeling the power of the Spectre. Now, at that point in the story, we didn't know where he got it from. We had no idea how that happened. He was just immensely powerful. And while Darkseid in and of himself is incredibly powerful, with the power of the Spectre, the living embodiment of God's judgment, he was more powerful than he had ever been. And so while Darkseid fought the Justice League Unlimited team, ultimately Darkseid was quote-unquote destroyed. The issue with that is that his death, his destruction, left an almost kind of a tear in space, for lack of a better word. And while it was being analyzed by Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Orion, and Mr. Terrific, that what Mr. Terrific established here was that prior to the DC Universe being cut off from the main multiverse, they had become aware of a different reality, which Superman initially theorized to be the Elseworld, but the reality is that it was more like an alpha world, that it was a universe that was just kind of coming into existence. It was basically forming for the very first time, but something in that universe had suddenly changed, that it no longer had the same energy signature that it had before. Now it was permeating with the energy signature of Darkseid. And so after a little bit of a discussion, they come to the realization the only individuals who can actually travel to that world now are basically time travelers, which brought in Booster Gold. And so for those of you guys who have been following our coverage of the Superman comic, where he essentially ends up traveling to what's basically the absolute universe Earth, but in the far-flung future with the Legion of Superheroes as it was created by Darkseid, and Booster Gold is there, but he's been held captive. This is how that starts, right? This is how Booster Gold shows up there and then basically gets held there by the Legion of Darkseid. Now, the other half of this is the story of Darkseid himself. And this one is far more intriguing and actually requires a lot more meat and potatoes. The long and short of this is that Darkseid kind of states that it started as an idea, right? Something I would create in isolation, a way to be more. The machine took time to build, crafted in Element X from the Forge of Worlds. The design was drawn by Hyman, the very man responsible for the Mother Box. I told Hyman that if he built this one last thing, I would bring his daughter Becca back from the dead. The allure of that lie was enough for him to break every rule and create the hardware, the technology.
Anytime a nigga say they gonna bring your family member back to life, if you do this one thing for them, nigga, they are lying to you. Why has nobody in fiction figured this out? Anytime somebody says they'll bring somebody back for you, that's always a bad sign of something happening. That's a red flag.
Begun with the sacred science of the Guardians, was developed by the Legion of Superheroes. It's a device with parts from the past, present, and future. It will work for one being and one being only, whoever it is bound to by blood. Now, the reality here is that what Darkseid is essentially making is a miracle machine. Now, miracle machines have appeared at different points in time in DC Comics. The most notable example of a miracle machine's use was in Final Crisis, when Superman literally built one as fast as he could to essentially undo everything that had happened during Final Crisis. This miracle machine is really more of just kind of a plot element to the story. It's a cool little throwback to one of the more interesting aspects of DC Comics, but the truth is that it wasn't really necessary. What is important is this, though. Darkseid literally cuts off his own hand in order to power this thing because it has to be powered by blood. The problem is that more blood is needed than what he initially provided. And that's where you end up with Kalibak, the son of Darkseid, who shows up along with his daughter Grail. And the reality here is that Darkseid had been absent from the DC universe for a pretty chunky period of time. And in his absence, Kalibak and his forces had actually built a giant army in his name, knowing that he would eventually return. The hope being that they could earn the favor of Darkseid by presenting this army to him, and that in turn he would use this army to launch an attack against the multiverse and do whatever it is that Darkseid does, right? Conquer reality after reality after reality. The truth here, though, is that Darkseid doesn't really care anything about these schemes, because for the most part, he's after bigger fish, right? He has a much bigger plan for what it is that he's trying to do. And so where initially he sees his son as more of a pest than anything else, Kalibak makes a statement as saying, "We are your blood. We will not leave you. Whatever you are seeking, we will help." And because the machine requires more blood, while Granny Goodness looks on, Darkseid kills Kalibak and throws his body in the machine, which in turn powers
This nigga killed his own son. That's crazy.
it up to its complete abilities. Following that, Darkseid takes off into the multiverse, and he travels to pretty much almost every location you can think of. He quite literally travels to Hell, where he encounters Trigon, but the whole point is that he's looking for a thing. But everyone knows who Darkseid is, and everybody knows what Darkseid is about. And one of the cool things about DC Comics is that while you don't really see a lot of crossover between Darkseid and like the Heaven and Hell mythos, so Blaze and people like that, basically what used to be the Vertigo line in DC Comics. If you don't know what that means, it's not a huge deal. This is one of those stories where it shows that they know who he is and they understand how powerful he is. One of the other things, though, is this kind of built on what was a more recently established concept with Darkseid, which was true form Darkseid. But something to know here is that true form Darkseid was a concept that fans had basically just made up, right? Like there was never anything to indicate there was ever like a true form Darkseid. But DC confirmed that in both a previous comic and this one. And that confirmation came from a variety of different places. It came from his conflict in Hell, when they kept telling him that he is kind of a force of the universe and even the multiverse to take some kind of solace in that. The same thing was repeated when he went to Heaven and battled the angels, and even when he went to the dark side of the moon and faced off against Eclipso, the embodiment of God's wrath. One of the cool things that we got to see here was that Eclipso is by and large, under any normal circumstance, more powerful than Darkseid, despite how powerful Darkseid is. And it makes sense, right? The presence, God, whatever name you want to give him in DC Comics, is drastically more important than Darkseid could ever possibly imagine being. And when you're talking about a being who's the living embodiment of God's wrath, it stands to reason they would be drastically more powerful than Darkseid. Now, of course, Darkseid ends up overcoming Eclipso by creating a boom tube, right? A teleportation device that literally channels the energy of the brightest sun in the galaxy directly to Eclipso. And because Eclipso's weakness is sunlight, he's basically incinerated, right? So it shows that Darkseid can...
Hey, he was planning ahead. Nigga, he prepped for that.
Think Eclipso. But all this came to a head, right? The establishment of true form Darkseid, the formation of the absolute universe, when he finally locates the person he's looking for, which is Jim Corrigan, the Spectre. Now, the Spectre in DC Comics has had a very lengthy history, and sometimes he was overly important, sometimes he was never important at all. But Darkseid hunting for the Spectre is no small thing, so much so that in fact the quintessence, basically a coming together of some of the most powerful beings in DC. You can almost think of it as something like a blend between Marvel's cosmic entities and Marvel's Skyfathers, so like Odin, Zeus, the traditional godheads of like various civilizations across the Marvel universe. The quintessence is very similar to that. But once they arrive here, they start to realize that it's too little too late, because when Darkseid created that miracle machine, it would allow him to fulfill any wish that he desired. And the wish that he desired was to bond with the Spectre, which is exactly what happened. And what you ended up getting was a kind of philosophical discussion there, because when Darkseid had bonded with the Spectre, that's when the Spectre essentially drugged Darkseid to confront the Justice League, the hope being that the Justice League could basically undo the connection between Spectre and Darkseid and return the Spectre back to its normal state. And that's where you kind of get this confirmation of true form Darkseid and the beginnings of the formation of the Absolute Universe. Because what the Spectre tells Darkseid is very important here. He says, I am telling you, you need to listen to feel these words. Everything has a balance to it. Our reality may be complex in many wondrous and terrifying ways, but there is also a raw simplicity to it. For at its core is life, a force that expands, multiplies against all odds. Life emerges from the dark and races onward. It is hope. And if there is a being who embodies that hope, that energy, it is him, Superman. But there is an opposing force to all of that. Constraint, control, and that is you. In a way, you are the true source wall that holds it all back. It's why you have no double in the multiverse. You are an essential force. You are primal. Long ago, when life was consolidated...
Nigga, what? The lore is luring. I'm not gonna lie, this shit got too deep, bruh.
So were you. But as life expanded, aspects of you, your energy, were channeled to every world to hold life back, to challenge it. When the multiverse expanded into an omniverse, those aspects were scattered further, making you, your physical being, less. That is the diminishment that you have felt, but it is natural. And then Darkseid asked the question, and when the multiverse was sealed, the Spectre answers and saying, right now, there is only you. All your power gathered into you, untapped. You vibrate with it. You can sense it, if not access it. But what you need to do is be patient, because the multiverse will come back, the omniverse. And as it does, your power will funnel into those worlds again. You will not feel this restless, this explosive. This is your role, Darkseid. It is an honor, divine and essential. Because one of the reasons why Darkseid had gone on this quest in the first place is because he felt like there was something physically wrong with him. Something had happened that had changed his very essence and his very nature, but he couldn't find the answer to it. And the belief was that potentially the Spectre was the one with the answer. But that's where Darkseid picked up with his monologue and said, but he does not have to answer, because suddenly I know, I see my role. I am there, fighting them all. The Amazon's lasso is on me, and I am taunting them, but I am also not there, because I am seeing my story, seeing it in its entirety. I see every fight I have had, every fight I would have, and I see that he is right, the Spectre. This role of mine, the ebb and flow of it, being more at times, less at times, a god, a pawn, all of it is the way of things. It would always be, but I am finished with always. And so essentially in that moment, Darkseid dies, right? It's the belief that he is permanently gone. But he says, then it happens. I end. I let the Spectre be torn from me, and I open myself to it, to death. And as I end, I begin again. But this time alone, bound by no relationships to Earth, to the Kryptonian, to anything. If that world is driven by life, by hope, then this one would be driven by challenge, by turmoil. A world where heroes are...
So he put the entire world into the trenches, basically. So everybody got to get out the mud. Basically what I'm getting at.
Born facing greater odds. Instead of being raised in paradise, they're raised in hell, where all their advantages are gone, where they are the small chaos instead of the system itself. A world where hope is the underdog, where it is the villain, the opposing force, where it will have to burn brighter than ever before to survive at all. It is a universe that exists out of time and space, hidden as the truth was hidden from me, its timeline complete and yet still solidifying. Above all, It is mine. It is me. It is reality where I can finally become what I was meant to be, where I am unleashed, where I may grow 1,000 feet tall, where my voice will shake planets, a reality where Darkseid will be. And when I am him, I will return for that other world and I will crush it. And so this is an important thing to understand here. What this essentially established is that Darkseid basically restructured the entirety of the absolute universe. Very similar to what you saw with the Maker adjusting the entire Ultimate Universe, or the new Ultimate Universe within Marvel Comics. Now, the reason why this is so important, and one of the things to keep in mind about the absolute universe, with the exception of 3 groups, no one knows that Darkseid is the force behind the creation of this universe, that all of it is based on his whim. Now, of course, the 3 groups that we're talking about here are the Absolute Legion of Superheroes, or as it's known in the comics, the Legion of Darkseid. They're quite literally servants of Darkseid. And in fact, Stargirl had quite literally talked to Darkseid directly, and he's the one that basically turned her into the first real member of his team, and then going out and recruiting other people. The second group, or the second person, is Absolute Martian Manhunter. Now, that's only been recently covered in the Absolute Martian Manhunter video, where he basically learns that Darkseid is the one behind everything. The third person is really more of a hypothetical scenario, because we don't have all the details yet, which is Absolute Joker. Now, the implication in the Absolute Evil comic that we covered in learning about Absolute Joker's role in all of this is that seemingly he had discovered the Omega particle, basically the God particle, the very essence of Darkseid and the power that he possesses in reforming this entire universe. And that was the first real
Hashirama cells?
indication that seemingly anybody in that universe understands not only that Darkseid is the force behind it all, but how the universe itself functions. That when Darkseid talks about how hope will be a very difficult thing to find, the universe will be a place of testing, it'll be a place of difficulty, that superheroes can rise, but they will not rise with the world championing their cause. They will rise in spite of the world, that the world will not embrace them as superheroes. Now, the indication here with Absolute Joker specifically is that in learning this, it seems to have driven him mad, but he's not really the Joker as we know him in DC Comics. He doesn't crack jokes, he doesn't wear a clown costume or anything along those lines, but seemingly he learned the truth behind it all, and has just kind of been operating that way ever since. But regardless, this statement that Darkseid has in terms of forming his own kind of superhero landscape, or his own group of individuals that will kind of live and breathe the very nature of life as he sees it, and then using those individuals to go against the superheroes on Earth in the main DC universe, that's the crossover that's coming up, right? DCKO is here in like a few days. Wednesday, I think, is when it comes out. It's literally a tournament among superheroes fighting each other. And ultimately, it all kind of seems to indicate how things are going to pan out with Darkseid himself, who seems to have a role in it. But I haven't read it early. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I'm excited to find out, guys. Anyway, hopefully this answers your question with the Absolute Universe in DC, how it came into existence and what it all means. So, with that being said, guys, we're going to bring this video to an end. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all later.
Shout out my nigga Comics Explained. Rip Comic Historian too, man. Y'all know, man. R.I.P. the Comic Historian. But yeah, dang. So, that's the Absolute Universe. It's basically a universe that's under Darkseid's energy. So, like, it's just based off everybody getting it out the mud. Pretty much. Everybody's going through turmoil, hardships. He got everybody making it out of the mud. I wonder if Bruce is rich in this universe. Probably not, right? Bruce is probably not rich if everybody got to get out the mud. Dang, that changes a lot, low key. That actually changes a lot. Okay, we gonna have to check out some of these comics. Oh, I'm gonna do another video, and we're gonna check out some of these comics. I think I want to do Batman first. I ain't gonna lie, I want to do Batman first. Either Superman or Batman. Y'all let me know in the comments which one I should check out first. But yeah, I'm out of here, man. That's going to be it for the video. See y'all tomorrow, man. Zochi, I'm out. Taco Gang. We gone. Love y'all, man. Grinding for real. We doing this every day. It don't stop. Horses don't stop. They keep going.